Welcome everyone to SAP ABAP free demo session. And this session will be focused on SAP ABAP, SAP OData, and SAP ABAP CDS training. You can move to the next slide, Devansh. So it's a brief regarding our company. So we are Team Go Coding, Wood Labs. We have been in SAP development from last 10 years. So we have worked on multiple projects and our trainers are all from big four companies. Like Devan itself is from a big four company. I also have worked for EY, TCS and SAP Labs. And we do provide training in different SAP modules, SAP development sessions. So SAP ABAP, SAP ABAP RAP, which is very latest, as well as CAPM is covered in our training sessions. So Devansh, you can take it forward from here.
Thank you, Rudra, for introducing us. So, hello everyone. It's nice you all have joined here for this training session. And my name is Devansh. I have around 7 years of experience in SAP development. I am a full stack developer. I am currently working in one of the big four company uh, into Fury development, as well as I'm working in ABAP. I have previous experience in TCS and KPMG. So, so before starting this session, we like it to be interactive session. So I just want, like, if you guys can let us know, like, how many of you, just by raising the hand also it is fine. You can raise hand like this using Teams and let us know, like, how many of you have experience in SAP, SAP ABAP, or any are you working on any of the SAP modules? So we will have some understanding, like, from where we have to start this session. Have you ever worked in any of the SAP module or an SAP anything? You are a fresher, Nikhil. Thanks for informing us. Arun, Harshvardhan, Mansa. Okay. So I'm assuming, like, you are all starting in SAP and you don't have any prior experience. So let me start the session with this. Okay. So in this session, basically, we are going to cover these points. We will start with introduction to SAP. I will try to SAP ABAP. Basically, I will try to inform you guys about what is SAP ABAP and what are its components, uh, how it evolved from its classical or legacy system to the current system, and what are their different layer, how we do development in SAP ABAP. So that's what we will cover inside this introduction to SAP ABAP section. Then the second part is ABAP data dictionary, where we will teach you, like, what is data dictionary, how you can build a database table inside ABAP. So that would be covered inside this section. Then we will go to what is classical ABAP programming. In the classical ABAP programming, what are the different objects we build or different type of component we build inside classical ABAP programming. That would be covered. Then we will go to advanced ABAP programming. In advanced ABAP programming, we will learn about object oriented approach, which is part of which is kind of advanced part of ABAP, and also what are bodies we will learn in this section. And then we will go to OData. OData is basically, if you know, it's a REST. Uh, Basically, this is the part where we will try to connect our SAP system to the UI5 system. So we will learn about SAP OData in this part. And finally, the CDS view are basically ABAP on HANA part, where we will learn about how what is the CDS view and how it is different from the classical view we build in data dictionary. So this is basically the course outline and today's agenda for this training session. So basically, so considering that, like, we are all new in SAP ABAP, I will just want to give you an overview of what SAP is. So basically, SAP is an ERP, enterprise solution, where we will which would be needed for if you want to deal with any kind of enterprise support. We will use SAP in that. So there are different modules in SAP: SD modules, MM module. SD is for sales and distribution. which take care of this complete sales and distribution part of the organization. Then there is module, consider it's a manufacturing firm, so we need module there for management of those all the material manufacturing. Then there are PP module, production planning, and then there are all other different modules in SAP. So that's basically what SAP is, and that's what where SAP deal with. So it deals with ERP solutions. So this is just an very brief overview of SAP, just for the basic understanding. And I hope like you guys are coming in for this training, so you might have little bit of idea of what SAP is. That's why, and you want to build your career in this domain. So let's go to what is SAP ABAP. So basically, for any kind of development in SAP ERP, we use ABAP. ABAP is the programming language which is developed by SAP for the development of applications and database and all other different components inside SAP. So this is and the full form of SAP ABAP is Advanced Business Application Programming. It is a high level language, similarly like Java and JavaScripts. It can support all of object oriented approach as well as procedural programming and other programming principles. All of those principles are equally applicable in ABAP. It is very easy to learn and it is easy to understand. If you have little bit of knowledge in SQL, it would be very much easier to learn ABAP. um, so what how it is different from Java and JavaScript? So basically, whatever development we do in Java and JavaScript, we store it as an external file. But uh, but in SAP ABAP, if you build any component and object, it will store in its server or in its database. So SAP has its own database, and all of your components and object which you develop inside SAP with the help of SAP ABAP, it will go and store inside that database. So that is basically called the SAP ABAP runtime environment. So it store the object in the two form. One is called the source code. Source code is basically whatever coding we are doing, that is called source code, and then it store as a form of a code bytes inside the database. So that is basically the two component of SAP ABAP runtime artifact. So there is a source code where we code our language and then it is stored it into database as form of the bytes. Now, also SAP ABAP very much dependent on its database. So it is closely connected to its database interface. It all the components of the data are basically closely linked with ABAP language. So whenever you want to access any data or any component, it should be stored in SAP database. Then only you can access it. So it's basically very much closely linked with SAP database interface. We will understand this database, how we build the SAP database table, what are the existing database available into the system in SAP database section in little bit after this introduction part. So now coming to SAP, so basically we are talking about its database server. So it has two different kind of server SAP has. One is called SAP ECC server and other one is S4 HANA server. ECC server is basically its legacy system, which we were using earlier. Now they have come up with the SAP S4 HANA. So SAP ECC has basically three different layer. One is database layer, one is application layer, and one is presentation layer. So database layer is basically where we store all of the different component, like what as we explained, whatever program we build in ABAP, they stored into this layer as a form of byte in the byte formats, and then there is application layer in ECC section. ECC means the legacy system. So in application layer, basically we build whatever development we do in ABAP, we do in this layer, application layer. If you are working with SAP ECC environment or ECC database, then you are developing all of your application in application layer. That's why it's called application also, because all the reports development, all the database creation, all the object oriented classes, all are being developed inside this application layer only. Then we deal with presentation layer. Presentation layer is nothing like this screen you are able to see, and so basically whatever the UI interface are there which directly linked or directly used by client, that is called the presentation layer. So so basically if I go to quickly go to the SAP GUI, so this is called SAP GUI, which is being used for the development of any SAP components. And even if you want to work in SAP, we use this GUI. So let me go to one of the system. There are lots of system here, but I'm going to this one. So here we have to provide the client to log in into the system, and there should be one user ID and password required. 6. So this interface, whatever you are seeing, is the presentation layer. So here you are accessing these toolbars. You are able to access these folders. This is called the presentation layer. Consider if I go to any of the transaction. So transaction are basically transaction are basically if you want to do any operation in SAP, you need to know the T code or the transaction code for that. So consider if for the database development we use T code called SE11. So you need to know this transaction code to run or to open the database management tool. So you once you go to the app dictionary, now whatever development, consider if I try to build one new table, so it will be part of its this layer, this application layer. And once the development is completed, it will go and stored in database layer. So this is how SAP ECC used to work. Now they come up with S4 HANA. So what is difference between ECC and S4 HANA? They have removed one layer which is called application layer, and they merged that application layer into the database layer. So currently the database layer contains both database as well as the application layer. So whatever development you are doing, that development will be in the same layer where you are storing that data. Earlier we are doing the development in application layer and then storing it into the database. Now we are doing the development in the same layer as well as storing it into the same layer into that server. Okay, so that's how the ECC and HANA are different. So why they have come with this database layer concept and removing the application layer? Only reason is to make it faster. So S4 HANA is comparatively faster than their SAP ECC, which is their legacy server, and now S4 HANA is their latest server. So their legacy server has one more layer. So we do development into this layer and then used to move or deploy the codes to the database layer. Hence, this deployment also takes some time. Now, once we have merged both the layers, so we are doing the development of the components in the same layer as well as storing it also into the same layer. Hence, our speed got increased. Also, so if you have little bit consider if you have some knowledge in IT or computer science, if you have little bit on knowledge, you know, whenever we search anything into a database, we do like how we search. We either search in a column side or the row side, right? So we get the index. Like consider it's an Excel. So in the Excel, you are in the first. Your name is in the third column and on the second row. Okay, third column, second row. So if you know like your name is in the third column, second row, you can directly go to that point and you will get the data in the Excel. Similarly, consider our data also is stored into database layer in the similar manner in the row and the column format. Okay, so now how S4 HANA is helping us? S4 HANA directly go to that go and search for row and column basis. Means if you can provide here row and column both. If you provide row and column index, it will go directly and fetch that data. So if when we provide both details, it gets faster. And if consider only the column information, then it has to go to that column, and for that column it has to check every rows, like where that exists. Hence it takes more time. So earlier ECC has only column based search, while in S4 HANA has column and row based search. By that way it is also faster. So basically this is a overview how what is SAP ECC and S4 HANA, and how HANA is faster than ECC system or the legacy system. Okay. Now also to here at this point, as assuming like you guys have lesser knowledge in SAP, so there basically this is called a system. I am working, this is Fortune Technology, this is one of the system, and here you can see we are using client. So I was logged in into 200 client. So this, if consider in the actual projects and actual development, there are always multiple clients. One client is used for the development, one client is used for the testing, and one is for the quality. And finally there will be another client that would be your production client, means that is being used by the customers, for them you're doing your development. So that consider they are using some SD application where they are dealing with the sales and distribution. What happened, like they want some new feature, like they want something, a new button consider in their application. So they come to us as a developer, like you, can you please build that one button for us in the application. So we do our that development in that client, in that development client. And then we go to consider there will be another system with the client called 210, or there can be a different name also. I'm giving just an example. Our client is 210 that is being used for the testing purpose. Okay, and then once our development is completed, I have done my testing. Yes, this button is coming up properly. Now, after that, there will be another testing system, which is called quality system, where our customer test in that system before moving it into the production. So that before that, there will be multiple different clients for different purpose. And that is how we do development in ABAP. Okay, now again, going back to the introduction part. So this is basically the evolution of the ABAP. As I have shown you, there were earlier ECC system, and then they come up with HANA. So this is basically explain like how they were come with HANA, and when they come up with how they are moving ahead. So this ABAP platform till 7.5. So they come up with different release. So till release 7.5, it was classical ABAP programming. So you can, if we go to the year timeline, so till 2015-16, it was classical app programming. After that, they come up with ABAP platform 7.51, and then it comes as for HANA 1610. There they come up with a ABAP programming model for Fury. In Fury, we come to this SEGW, basically that is NetWeaver, or that you can understand with OData comes, and then CDS also come in this programming model, so that we can start dealing with the application UI5 applications which are being used in the browsers. So till this point, classical ABAP programming point, what was happening, whatever application we were building, we are only able to use those application into our GUI. So this is called GUI. GUI means graphical user interface. So this this GUI is basically being used. So all the application, whatever we were building, where we are using inside this GUI only. So you have to go to the ABAP environment, again ABAP GUI. Here you have to provide your user ID password, and you can access the application. But as the advancement of the technologies, now most of the user are moving to clouds, and they want their application accessible in browsers also. Like they can access with HTTP protocols, and then they can use their application in browsers like in Google Chrome and Firefox or any browser. So for that, SAP come up with the programming model for Fury, and they come up with OData. So here we start building Fiori apps or UI5 application, and then we linked our Fiori application to our backend server with the help of OData. So that's how we do. That's how our development is started for the ABAP programming model. After that, now with the SAP Cloud Platform ABAP, after this release 1808 release and S4HANA 1909 release, they come up with ABAP RESTful programming model. What is ABAP RESTful programming model? So if you here, we have to build our Fiori application into UI5, and then we have to build an OData to connect it to the SAP server. With RESTful programming model, both our application as well as our service can be built together. So you don't need to do parallel development, one for the UI side and one for the backend side. Both can be done together after this RESTful programming model. So this is the current model they are dealing with, but these both model are also into practice, and lots of development are still happening in classical ABAP programming, and this is also a ABAP programming model for SAP Fiori also, and this is completely advanced in the new model they are built, which is called RAP or the RESTful programming model. Okay, so this is how they are ABAP evolution is happening, and they come up with new release every year. So right now they want to uh, they are improving this RESTful programming model, and the future one or two release will be more focused on this model only. Okay. So this is the evolution part of the ABAP. Now let me tell you about different components of ABAP also. So in SAP ABAP also there are different components. One is SP basis component. So basis components are basically deals with the configurational part of the SAP. So as you understand, the SAP has its own database which play a very important role. It has that database interface. So SP basis. So basis is basically they take care of that database. So whatever new configuration needs to be done for related to the roles, related to any kind of authorization needs to be provided. If you need to do any RFC connection between different system, that how that RFC connection will be built, that complete part will be taken care by basis, and that is basically the part work of the SAP basis. They are work parallelly with the technical developer in any kind of development. So that is the basis section. We are not going into much detail into that because this is completely the development and technical part. So I'm just giving an overview what SAP basis is. Then SAP ABA, that is basically all the business applications. So like there are business partners there, like I'm an user, so I will come under this component. I use this business component, so I use SD applications, I used application, I use FI application. So I am the one who is using these applications. So I am the business partner. I will take care of this address management. I will fill these details. So this component is take care of that part. That is the software as SAP underscore AB is deal with that component. Then SAP UI. SAP UI is that is like UI5 application which we are talking about. Like they come up with the application which can be easily run on an browser. So SAP UI is that application. And this SAP underscore UI component deal with those applications only, or those component which are related to the UI5 application or the Fiori application, the applications which run on the browser. Okay. Now we come to the third component, that is the CRM component. So other than SAP modules, there is one module which is called the CRM module. CRM module is a completely different module which is integrated to the SAP ECC or the SAP Enterprise Solution. So this component is deal with that particular module, CRM module. Even the development which we do in CRM follow a different approach than the other module. It is linked with ABAP only, but the approach is different. Finally is ABAP. ABAP is what we are running here. ABAP is for the development purpose. ABAP is the language which is being used for the development of the software components or the reports or the application in SAP. So this is basically the introduction of SAP. If you guys have any doubt, you can ask me now related to SAP ABAP. Any question, any doubt, you can raise your hand, even write it into the chat and we will like to answer. Please try to make this session a little interactive so that we will also know like you guys are understanding it. Okay. Okay, so now this is the basic ABAP introduction. Let's go to the next part, that is ABAP data dictionary part. So what is ABAP data dictionary? So this is first step, or you can say the stepping stone for any kind of development in SAP. Whatever we develop in SAP is closely linked to its database. So to build that application, we need to build their components like variable. What are the different kinds of uh, data elements which can be which we can use inside that application? How we can build those data element will be built inside this data dictionary. Whatever database or database table requires, which contains the information related to that application, will be built inside this data dictionary. Whatever the different kind of views required to show the data, that complete views will also build inside this data dictionary. So this is the first and the most important part of building any application in ABAP. So the T code or the transaction code to open data dictionary is SE11. Okay, so let me first, this is the data dictionary. So how you can open it? So you can do /n, or let me open a new window. I think we have to. See login. So again, let me give the client. So you can give this transaction. This is the place where we give the transaction. This is the transaction for the data dictionary. Once you click on enter, this screen, ABAP data dictionary screen, will get open. You can see here there are different radio buttons. Database table. This radio button is to build database table, and this is to build view. Then you can see there is some space, and then there are types. So here you can build data types. So the data types which are supported in SAP are, let me show you the data types which can be supported. Let me go to any table. So this is one of the database table, which is sales document header table. You can see here there are multiple data types available. I double click on this one, character string, double click on this one. Yeah. Okay. So you can see these many type of data types are supported in SAP. So for any language, data types play an important role. There are character data type, there are uh, float data type, then there are integer data type, and then there are Boolean, then there are raw data type. You can see here character is for character string, then for currency also there is one data type, particularly for currency. Then this is for floating. This data type is actually character array, but designed specifically for the date field. Then this is integer, string, raw string, quantity. These are all different kind of data types which are supported in SAP. Okay. So basically data dictionary is being used for the management, creation, deletion of all the database related components in ABAP. Okay. And this is the first step of the program. So I was there showing you all the different components which we can build. So these are the data types which we can build. Then we can build a database table inside this. We can go and build and view with database dictionary. We can build a data type here. Domain is basically, so domain contains the information of what kind of type we are using. So in SAP, if you define any variable, you have to give its data element. So now what is data element? So data elements contain the information like how the label of that variable will appear. So in other language, we whatever variable we give, we don't uh, worry about what would be the label of that variable. We used to provide that label separately. But in SAP, whenever you create one variable, you provide a data element to it. So let me explain with this example. You can see this is one field, VBELN, and you can see this is the data element of this field, VBELN underscore VA. So this data elements provide what is the description and what is the data type of this field. Okay, so this information, data type and short description, is coming from this data element only. If you double click on it, you will see. So this is the data type. So this element contains all the information of this data. So what would be the type of that? So that type is how that data type is coming. It is coming from the domain. So domain contain the information of the data type. Like what would be it would be character, or it would be a language field, or it would be a date field, or it would be a raw field, or it would be a floating field. This all information is coming from domain. Also, what would be the value range of this one? This all information is also coming from domain. Then for this domain, there will be a data element. So this data element contains the domain for the data type information, and its characteristic would be what is the search help for this field, what would be the label for this field. So these all information are inside the data element. Okay, so we build this data element also with this data dictionary. And then this data element will be used for any variables. So we can directly use this data element in our programs also. Whenever we building some report code or some application, we are use the same. This is a reusable component, so you can use it multiple times. Okay, and here also, whenever we are building a database table, we know this is for the sales document, this data element. So you can use this data element everywhere whenever you need a sales document inside your database table. So this is a header table for consider. So let me show you one item table. So VBAP is the item table, and you can see this same component is being used here also, because we need sales document again. So we are not building a data element. We are using this component every time, every wherever we need a sales document, data element or the field. So this is how data element works. Okay. Now we understand what is basically data dictionary is and what are the different components we build. So data dictionary is nothing. What is the data dictionary? It is all the components we build. We build all the database related components we build through data dictionary. Okay. Let me go to this integration part. So this is just to show like all the different development environment or runtime environment of the application. They all are closely connected with data dictionary. They use the tables and the search help and the log objects and views from the data dictionary. So it's a very important part of the ABAP development. Now we are coming into the classical ABAP programming. What are the different components of the classical ABAP programming? First one is reports. So basically, if you have little bit knowledge of ABAP, or if you whenever you go and apply for an ABAP job somewhere in some organization, you will come to know like they will ask you like, have you worked on RICEF W? So RICEF W are basically all the different components belongs what we developed through classical ABAP programming. So R belongs to reports. Reports are nothing but in SAP for earlier, all the source code or applications are built through reports. So we build report, and the whenever we build an application, basically we build report, and this report executed and for every application. So you can consider it, if you have some computer science knowledge, you can understand it like if you worked on C++, whatever you run in your code in C++, similarly in ABAP we write our code in reports. So in reports there are ALV reports, then there are interactive reports, then there are module pool programming. So the all reports have its own quality, and ALV reports are just to show the data. Interactive reports consider there are multiple application and we need to navigate from one page of application to another page. Then we use interactive reports. Then there are module pool programming. Consider we need heavy designing in our application. There should be multiple buttons. There should be some container to show the ALV, then there should be some input also. So for that we build module pool programming. So this is all part of, basically this is part of classical ABAP. Right now these reports or this application which they were building in classical ABAP through reports are mostly taking the are mostly being replaced by this UI5 Fiori application which they are building now from the newer new UI components which they are building now for the new releases. So they start building this application for the browser, and they are building SAP UI5 and Fiori applications now. Now interfaces are nothing. So consider, as you know, as I've explained, SAP is an ERP, enterprise solution. So it needs to take some data from other third party applications also, right? They need some data from consider they are building with as some manufacturing application they have built, but all your material informations are coming from some other third party application. Consider Salesforce is one application which you need to get the data for material. So you need to integrate that interface, SAP interface, to that SAP Salesforce. And for that, the components being used are RFC function modules and iDocs. Okay. Now the conversion are like, consider uh, if you have like automation, or you want to do some operation or something which are kind of automated, or if they are moving, like consider there are one SAP system and you want to perform some operation in a form of the automation, like it's a process which will be done, which should be done regular basis, and it takes an effort. So you can use BDC LSMW to automate that process. For that part is called conversion, kind of an automation we do in through this BDC and LSMW, and that is called the conversion. Enhancement. So SAP has provided us this system. So SAP provide all of the module. Consider they have given us one of the sales and distribution module. And what SAP provide is as per SAP. They have given all the functionality what they are providing to their customer. But your requirement, and you have given them something like I need these things, and they have given you according to your requirement. But later on you come to know like you need to change few things. You need to add few additional functionality, or you missed to inform them like you need these other functionality also. So how you will achieve those things? So for that you need enhancement. You have to enhance that system, and to do that enhancement, SAP has provided you some of the components or some of the functionality which you can use directly to enhance the SAP. And those functionality are called user exits and custom exit, body, enhancement point, and enhancement sections are there which can be used for the enhancement. Okay. Now what are the forms? So most of the if most of the scenario where we need to generate forms. So consider if we are selling something. Okay, we are selling something, so we need to provide an invoice also. Like whatever we have sell, there should be an invoice for that, like which contain all the information, like the customer address, seller address, and the amount and everything. So how you will show or you will provide those information? For that you will require some forms. So in SAP you can build forms, you can build smart forms, you can use SAP script, you can build Adobe forms. and by that way you can print those information. So this is all come inside the form development. So these are different kind of development we do inside the classical web programming. We do report development, we use idocs and RFC function module to integrate with different system. That is one kind of development we do. Then automation development, we use BDC to do the automation. Then sometime enhancement also require, where we have to enhance the existing system. So this is, for that you need these knowledge of user exit and customer exit and body for the enhancement. Then forms also being used wherever they need some specific forms specific for the customer or the who holds this SAP. The client basically to show some other information in the form also other than what SAP is providing. So we enhance those form or we build a new form for the client. So that come under the form development. And then finally there is a workflow. Workflow is like there is consider how what you can say, there is consider there is a if somebody has worked, there is a time management application consider, where you have to go and give your time for every day how much you have worked, and then it would be approved by your manager. So this once you've provided the time into the system, it will be sent to the manager for the approval. This complete cycle is called a workflow. We build this complete cycle under this workflow. This is one of the examples. So this is this complete this for that there can be multiple examples of workflow, and it depends client to client where we build different kind of workflows. So this is come under the workflow development. Okay, so all of these development will require different T codes. There are different T codes, and they are all require in-depth training and practice if you want to work in different components. But to be an basic ABAP developer, you should know all of this RECEFW concept if you want to work in ABAP. So this is you can consider this is the basic or the core ABAP you should know for to being an ABAP developer. So yeah, that's the starting point. So let me, before going, so this is one screen for report development. I can show you also. So for that, the transaction is SE38. Let me go to a new screen. If I give SE38, this is the editor. So whatever development we do in this ABAP editor. For that, you have to give some name. So let me give Z test. And there is already one program available. So we can create if the program does not exist, but if it is existing, we can display and we can saw what are the developments. So you can see this is how we do development in ABAP. So they are different naming conventions and different the commands we use in ABAPs. There are different syntax which we should know, and they for every syntax has its own definition and own functionality which we should understand for doing a development. Like the append is to append the data from internal table to work area to internal table. So here we don't use object or array, rather similar manner there is called work area and internal table. The naming is little bit different. How we do the conventional uh, coding, how we learn the conventional coding, it's little bit different here, but concepts are same. So here the objects are basically work area, the arrays are basically the internal table, and then we store into the database table. So that's how we do development in ABAP. So it will require some basic understanding before starting the development and report. Okay, so this is the concept of RICEFW of classical ABAP programming. Any question here? I would please ask me if you have any doubt till now. If you want to understand something else in more detail. Okay. If no doubt, let me move ahead to advanced ABAP programming. So SAP has come up with object-oriented programming. They have added object-oriented also in their programming module. Why they come up with object-oriented programming? Because it has different other. There are multiple concepts like inheritance, polymorphism, and encapsulation, which are object-oriented pillars, and that can be useful for the any kind of development in ABAP. And it provides more flexibility and reusability. That's why they come up with object-oriented. So the T code for the object-oriented programming is SE24. If I go and let me use SE24. So this is the object type. Here you can build any class. This is how a class appears in ABAP. You can see there are methods here. We define attributes. We define interfaces. So all the concepts which are applicable in other programming language are equally applicable in ABAP also. We use interface here. We use friend class here. We do inheritance also. For the inheritance, there will be a, so if this would be a, it's not a final class. So yes, there will be a, if, so yeah, there is no super class. So you can say this, if this class will be inherited from some other class, then it will be defined in the super class. So inheritance is also possible. Polymorphism is also possible. All the you can use events also here, but for that we need to understand how we can do that. And all the concepts are equally applicable here in object oriented programming also. So they also needed this object oriented programming for the new objects which they are coming up, new development function capabilities which we are adding in ABAP. So they were adding the OData also. So OData which they use to connect the application server to the UI5, they the OData also use basically the object oriented approach. When they come with body, we will understand body in detail in later section. So this is basically the object oriented, which comes under advanced ABAP programming, and we use SE24 transaction to build object oriented classes inside this. Now I'm not going into what is object oriented and what is the different concepts of object oriented, but what I can inform you, like all of these concepts can be used inside ABAP also. And why they come up with object oriented? For better code modularization and reusability and data security. Basically, whatever object oriented programming approach, what are the advantages of programming approach of object oriented? To use those advantages, they come up with this object oriented programming model in ABAP also. So I have already shown you the screen, how this class appears in object oriented. Now let's go to the body. So as I have informed, explained you in the older slides where we are dealing with enhancements. So body is also an enhancement technique. So enhancement means, again, let me explain. So whenever we want to enhance the standard system or existing system with some additional functionality, we use enhancement. And body is an object oriented enhancement technique. So this is object oriented enhancement framework, and the transaction code for body is SE18 and SE19. So basically, what is the use of body? As we can have multiple implementation. So consider we for different scenario, we want different kind of implementation into the standard procedure, standard programming. So let's take an example. So consider we are working in India and someone is working in America, and they want their invoice to be different in India and invoice should be different in America. Okay, whatever invoice they are billing or creating through SAP, they should be different. So it's like we want different implementation based on the country. So to achieve that, earlier what was happening, if we were enhancing it, there will be same code for India and there will be same code for America, or there should be, we need to put some if else condition. So and by this way our coding load was increasing. It was taking a lots of space inside our code. So space has a vital role in SAP because we don't use external sources to store our data. We use database only. So if our code was increasing, so it was taking lots of space inside our database also, right? So to avoid that, what they have come up, they come up with body. So body is enhancement technique where based you can use multiple implementation for the same enhancement point. So for America, you can have a different implementation, and for India, you can have a same different implementation at the same point. And so that's what basically the use of Bade is, and its reusability component. So consider America logic will be needed in Canada also, so they can reuse those component. So that's what the basically the use of enhancement technique, Bade enhancement technique. And for that, the transaction is AC18 and AC19. So let me show you. If I go to AC18, so this is enhanced. So here you can provide the enhancement spot. So consider if enhancement spot is nothing means this in a standard code there will be a place where you can add your code. So you should know that spot. So you can go directly to that spot and add your code. Or if you know the body, which standard body SAP is providing, you can directly give the body and do your enhancement. So like this is one of the transaction code for the body implementation. Now let's go to the OData. OData is basically open data protocol, and it is used to generate the RESTful API. The T code to run OData is SEGW. So I will directly go here and I will first show you how OData. So once we give SEGW, so this is a gateway builder. Here you can use this to create your project, and you can create a OData. So this is the place where you build your OData. In OData, basically, what is the use of OData? So let me explain that first. You can understand with the help of this architecture. Okay. So these are SAP UI5 applications. These applications are available in browser. And consider this application, whatever these application will deal with, they will deal with this SAP gateway. SAP, so they will either they will show some data from there, or they will manipulate this data, or they will try to update the database, or they will try to create the database, or create some entry inside the database. So they need some connection between like UI5 application and gateway system. We need some application, some connection. For that connection, we use OData. So OData basically generate HTTP request. This HTTP request or this HTTP protocol basically. So whenever SAP UI5 requests something, and from with the help of OData, SAP Gateway provide that response in the form of a JSON file. So whatever data OData basically, OData is basically, you can say, a connection between the UI5 application and SAP Gateway application. Okay. And basically what we do with OData, we perform CRUD operation. CRUD operation means create, read, update, and delete. And there is also the other functions are possible, but these are the core operations we deal with OData. So with this SEGW transaction, we can build an OData in SAP, and then that service. So basically, when we create one OData and generate it, it generate one service, and that service would be registered into your Fiori system. And for any kind of data transaction between the UI5 application and gateway, we use this service. And this service is in that would be a RESTful API or RESTful service. So that is basically the use of this OData is, and with the help of SEGW, we build and change or edit OData services. That's what we do. Then in OData, there are lots of other things also, how we can um, basically maintain OData service, or how we can add that OData service, how we can test the OData service, and then how we can activate the standard OData service, because most of the SAP UI5 applications have their own standard OData service. So we need to understand like how we can activate those service also, and how we can utilize those standard services for our own development also, how we can enhance those OData services. So this is all come inside this OData section. It's a in itself, it's a very vast topic, OData. I'm just giving an overview what OData is, and basically with this session, I'm just telling you what are the different components inside the development comes. Okay. Now the CDS view. So basically, this is as I've in the earlier section of the training, I have explained you like there is one HANA system also. So HANA system is basically so this SAP CDS viewer is part of whenever we try to do some development in HANA. So if you remember, I have explained you like we do our development in database layer. So basically the CDS view is we can create a view at database layer, and why we are creating a view in database layer and how it is different from the view which we creating into that SE11 or database transaction. So CDS view is basically more, it is first of all it is a SQL view, and it represent the data from the database structure. So it doesn't take any space into our database. It just show the data from the database. It doesn't store anything. So that's the first thing. Second thing is it's annotation rich. So when we do this is all come under the Fiori related development. Fiori means UI5 application related development, which the application which we built for browser. So inside that, the CDS view play a vital role. Basically, when we build a CDS application, we can provide authorization while creation of the view only. So consider if you don't have the authorization, you will not able to see any data. So for that, you don't need to build any other role somewhere else for your application. You can directly inbuild that role or authorization into the view. Also, you can provide different kind of annotations also. So annotations are nothing but you can say like you can provide a more information about your data structure with the help of annotation. So let me show you an example. Let me go here directly, and you can see here. So this is how a CDS view appears in the when we build it. So you can see here we can provide an SQL. We provide a view name, SQL view name. Then we provide our entity name, and you can see we are selecting the data from our database and doing an inner join and showing all the list. Okay, so this is how. So basically we are not storing anything, we are just fetching it or getting it from the database and showing it here in the form of view. So that's why it doesn't store any space. So these semantics are basically the annotations. This semantics, so basically for this amount you are giving some other information also, like what is the currency code and what is the type of the currency. So these information you are also providing it here. So like this, and also if you want to add some additional logic, you can add those logic here. So this is all the CDS view being used for. So if you are aspire to be an ABAP developer or you're working in ABAP, you might have some a little bit idea what CDS view is. If you don't have any knowledge, so I will suggest just start with classical ABAP first. So once you will understand classical ABAP, it would become easier to understand what a CDS view is and HANA is, because this is a higher concept and comes inside advanced ABAP, not inside like classical ABAP. So to understand CDS view, you should have first understanding of what database management and modules are, and then you can have a better understanding of CDS view. So this is advanced ABAP or HANA concepts. Okay, we can use where clause also, we can use group wise. So these kind of we can, with this we can enrich our view, which was not possible earlier in classical ABAP. And then this CDS view can be directly used inside OData. Okay, so if rather than using and database table, if we are using CDS view, so we kind of in our OData we are adding this information also, like our these additional information, like this field is a currency field and it has this currency code and other information also. So that would be helpful in our application development. So that's the use of CDS view, and this is a ABAP concept. So this is it, guys. So any question related to this session, you can ask me. Uh, all the topics which I explained today, you can ask me here in the Q&A. The forum is open for all of us.
Devansh, you can open up the chat box also.
Okay.
In case someone is asking there.
Okay, difference between enhancement section and enhancement spot. Okay, so enhancement section is basically enhancement. So consider there are you want to replace a complete code. So consider there is one perform, or there is one section of the code, or there is one, if you know perform, what is perform is, or a, how I can explain this. So consider there is one functionality. Okay, so there are, consider you are filtering some country code inside your code, and that filtering was happening based on currency code. Now you don't want that complete code or complete logic. You want to replace that complete logic with your own logic. You want to filter your countries based on their languages now. Okay, so the standard code is working with a currency. They are filtering their country based on currency, but they now you want to filter based on language. So you can replace that complete section and add your own code. So that is called enhancement section. So in the enhancement section, you can remove complete code and add your code. So the existing code will not run, rather your code will run. So that is enhancement section. And enhancement SWOT is, you want to add some additional code. You don't want to replace the code. You want to add some additional code. So consider now you want to filter country, and inside that you also want to filter cities for every country based on their population. So now you can use enhancement spot and kind of add those additional functionality inside that. So section is kind of replace the existing code, and spot is used to add some additional code. So that's the difference between enhancement section and spot. Difference between SQL view and entity view. Okay, so I think the just outcome for this. So basically this is this view and SQL view name and entity view. So this is you view, you are defining this, both can be same, but this SQL view name is, this is how your, it will be stored inside your database with this view name, SQL view name, and you can access with this name. And this CDS view name is created to being just to like inside that view also you will get this view entity, like this is the view CDS view Odoma 2, and but this SQL view name will be stored. So kind of this name would be used to store it into the database, while the CDS view entity will be used for the definition of this view. So that's basically the core difference between the two. This is for the definition purpose, while this is being used inside the database to store, because it might be possible your CDS view entity name could contain a bigger text of large number, right? So consider you have a view entity with a big name, and you want a big name which is exceeding your view name limit. So as you can give a smaller name in the view SQL view name, so that you can store it with that name, because database, so how where in the database they are storing the data, that length should be fixed. So that's why they have given the two places. So you can give a SQL view name to give a smaller name, and then view entity name you can give for the description. So you can give a descriptive name in the CDS view entity. So that's basically the use of this SQL view name and CDS view name. In select query, which view we use, entity view or SQL view? I think it would be you can use SQL view.
And Devansh, with this, I guess we'll close this session now. You can open up the last PPTs so that we can showcase the last second last slide.
Second last, okay.
Yeah, this one feature for the stream.
Feature, okay. So let me open this feature.
Thank you everyone for joining. Baljeet certainly will answer your more questions in upcoming sessions. So we are planning for a full-fledged training after this particular course, and the full-fledged training will be going to be an interactive session where you can ask all your doubts, and it will be a session on daily basis. So the training will be provided by trainers like Devansh only, who will be having more than 7 years of IT experience of real-time projects. And these sessions can be planned convenient with a weekday or weekend. Whatever timing is flexible for you, we can plan accordingly. And you will also get remote 24 into 7 server, so you can also do your hands-on training over top of that. And also will provide exercise after each and every training, so that you can also go and practice at your own time, and thereafter come back into next session so that you can ask your questions. And also after each session we'll share the PDF files related to that session, so that you can also read the theoretical part and understand what exact questions can be asked in the interviews going forward. So we are planning for a full-fledged training, and you can reach out to me on WhatsApp. I've already pinged you. You can also reply me over email, and I can reach out to you to plan something that is very specific to you. So you can note down these numbers also and email IDs, and you can always reach out to me.